99-cent rental.
This is 99 Cent Rental. I'm your host, Brian White, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Dave White. Hey Dave, how you doing?
Bonjour. Ça va bien. Merci.
All right. Hey, you're in the spirit.
Hey, I was doing my laundry this evening, and I found a button in the dryer that said "The Demon of Revenge" on it. Now, do you think someone's trying to send me a message?
Yeah. Did this just like materialize from anything anywhere?
I couldn't figure it out.
Huh. It just like apportated there?
Yeah.
Like in Poltergeist?
Yep.
Huh. Well,
as far as I know.
Well, that's really good. I can tell you the Demon of Revenge's name is Alastor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alistair, like from the Canadian children's show. You can't do that on television.
Same.
Apropos of this film.
Same spirit. Yep. So yes, that would be a synchronicity that I think you should be learning lessons from. Okay. Live a life of revenge. Seek vengeance at all opportunities.
Not bad advice.
No, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. No idea where it came from.
No.
Huh.
Just one of those things, I guess. You know how those things happen.
That's weird as hell, man, and I kind of love it. Yeah. Oh boy, man. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was fine. You skipped this one. It was fine. Drove 2 hours. Had Mom made some steak for me.
Okay.
Because I don't eat turkey. Talked about politics for a while.
Yeah.
I drove home.
Okay.
That was about it. You did not miss anything.
All right. No, I got a recipe over here in the spirit of our last episode. We're talking about stew.
Oh yeah.
Listener Sal Romero sent us a recipe for turkey stew. I intend to try it out.
I'm telling you, I love a stew. I made a stew tonight.
But you don't eat turkey. What are you gonna do about that?
I don't eat turkey. I would just sub in like some chicken or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Or just leave the turkey.
What's the turkey thing? Is it just an aversion to turkey? Like you get those?
I don't like it.
You get turkeys around your neighborhood, and you're like, "Fuck this."
Oh no! Like I'm not sentimental about them. I think they should all be killed and eaten. I just don't want to be the one to do the eating part.
Okay. All right. Well,
it's dry.
Yeah.
And then people will be like, "Oh, it's because you've never had this kind of turkey." And I'm like, "Yeah, just shut up." I've had all kinds of turkey. I don't like a single one.
All right. Yeah.
Actually, I take that back. I love a turkey Reuben. There you go.
That's right. You've mentioned this in the past. Yeah.
But in to be fair to the turkey Reuben, that is a sandwich that is slathered in Thousand Island dressing.
So the dressing's doing a lot of heavy lifting in there.
It really is. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. We did our usual thing. Watched Mystery Science Theater all day. It was a good deal. We got to see Space Mutiny.
Nice. This is a good one.
We got to see Manos: The Hands of Fate. You might have heard of it.
Yeah, way to go, Steve.
We got Hobgoblins.
Ooh, that's a rough one.
Much funnier than I remember it. Yeah, but oh man, it was a good lineup. It was a pretty good run. Yeah.
I did not watch any of them. I don't think. No.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's always next year.
That's true. Or I could just put them on anytime I want because it's the age of the internet.
This is true. Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I get what I want when I want it.
Yeah. So, hey, it's hard to explain to someone who never had the experience what a trip to the video store was like back in the day. Shelves were choked with absolutely bizarre crap made on tiny budgets, completely divorced from any recognizable reality, and it was the best. We intend to talk about every one of them. Just before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at BringMeTheAxePod. Dave's over there at That Werewolf. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I urge you to follow us. It's fun. Our content is good.
Yep.
I would rank it as good. It's S-tier content.
Yeah. I mean, like A tier.
A tier content. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you.
Look,
that.
I'm working on a shoestring budget and whatever skills I can pull out of my ass. So
it's good stuff, though. I'm also on TikTok. If you do that sort of thing, so help me God.
Doing a little step ball change.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for it.
No. Just doing the Harlem Shake, as it were. Dancing, because that's what they do over there. Look us up over there.
I hope people show up and they're expecting to
see me fucking do a stanky leg, and they're like, "The fuck is this?" It's just recommended movies.
Yeah. They show up wanting you to do that. What's that thing that the Kid and Play used to do? That thing?
The Running Man?
No, like they have that like handshake and then like you grab the other person's leg and it's like going around in a circle. It has a fucking name. It has a name. I know that.
Yeah.
You got to just go with my Kid and Play.
I know. I couldn't think of it, so I couldn't yes and you. Oh boy. But I know we're moving slow today. Our latest episode, step back. Look us up by name over there. And if you don't know, we have another show called Bring Me the Axe. Our latest episode covering the 1971 lesbian vampire spectacle, Daughters of Darkness, is out now. And we'll be back next week with a look at the laziest slasher sequel of them all, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, Garbage
barely
Day.
qualifies as a movie.
You know what? It's longer than the first one.
But it's also 2/3 of the first one.
Yeah. You can also contact us directly at 99centrentalpod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a cheesy movie that you love and would like to hear us give it the business. And if you would like to support us on Patreon, you can look us up over there at patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod.
Yes, do.
Yep, there's a couple of tiers you can join. Subscribers at the $5 a month tier can look forward to our bi-weekly X-Files rewatch pod, Do You Think I'm Spooky? As well as my bi-weekly DJ show, Radio Free Haddonfield, on the weeks that Do You Think I'm Spooky is off. We're gonna do a little. We're gonna shake it up over there a little bit, I think, though. Yeah, we got a little something planned for the new year. Yeah. And you can expect a surprising mixtape of everything from rock to disco to punk over there. That's Radio Free Haddonfield. Now, once again, that's patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. Do subscribe.
And go buy our merch.
Buy our merch, yep. Linked in the show notes. I can't remember the URL off the top of my head.
I know.
You think I'd be a little more savvy on that, too.
We're off to a sloppy start.
I know. You know what it is? It's this fucking movie. It's got me off my game.
Yeah, this was a bad choice, and it was my choice.
Yeah,
and I thought it would be a good choice.
There's discussion to be had, but let's not put the cart ahead of the horse, because lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're at YouTube now. Search us by name and subscribe if you prefer to consume your podcast that way. And you'd be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor, give the episode a like, leave a comment. We'd love hearing from you guys.
Put your whole fucking turkey stew recipe right in there. Right in the comments.
Right in the comments.
You know what I want? I want nothing but turkey stew recipes.
Actually, no. Let's broaden it out. I'll take some chili. I'll take some chili. I'll take a meatloaf recipe. You got a meatloaf recipe that's more than just like meat and breadcrumbs. I want to hear about it. I want to hear about your pasta, your sauces. I want to hear about, do you make a good lasagna? How about some pizza? I want to hear about your pizzas. I'll put all that in the YouTube comments.
Yep.
All
of them. A whole list.
But space it out so that, it really kind of games the engagement,
Maybe you have restaurant recommendations you want to make.
Oh, yeah. Where's the best pizza you've ever had that's not in New York? That's a question for you. You know what? I got an answer for that. Orlando, Florida.
That's disgusting.
No.
Get the fuck out of here.
Fratello's. Actually, it's not Orlando. It's in Winter Park. Fratello's. Best goddamn pizza I ever had.
There was a place in Somerville that was open until recently called T&B. It was like a wood-fired place, and they made this one that was like ancho chili sauce.
Okay.
And it had corn, like a grilled corn, and what else was on it? It was like jalapenos on it.
Huh.
It was fucking delicious.
All right, well, this is what I'm talking about is pizza. None of this woke pizza. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Jesus. All right.
This one where they take the bread out back and keep it in the dark and they read its stories at night.
They just gently caress its hair, tell it it's beautiful.
Why are we putting this off? I just want to get all this out of the way right at the top of the show because here's a taste. Here's a taste of some holiday madness for you.
Whew.
Now, at last, should we go for a real ride?
Oh, yeah!
Good. Cover your ears.
Incredible but true.
Several people from the Glendale region report they saw mysterious light streaking through the sky last night.
think the man with the bubbles is a Martian.
That's because you've never seen one.
I bet the Martian made these.
Oh, Kathy, not your Martians again.
Well, I don't know anybody in Northtown who makes green footprints.
Whoa! Look at that!
A flying saucer! Don't be afraid, we're friends!
There could be something to these reports. Well, you know about a flying saucer.
Strange things are happening!
The Christmas Martian.
The Christmas Martian. And Christmas Martian goes to summer camp.
You know, I think the Christmas Martian, it really explains a lot of like 80s era Nickelodeon television.
Yeah. I think honestly, like the way that sort of, I believe we kind of talk about that in our Peanut Butter Solution episode, which is like tangentially connected to this movie, though not exactly. But I think a lot of early Nickelodeon was all cribbed from Canadian children's television, and I think a lot of it came from Roch Demers, who is the producer on this and all of the Tales for All movies. And so there's this kind of there's this very familiar connective tissue between all of it that feels like zany and random and
but like, hey, Roch Demers, just because you have children in the movies doesn't mean you have to let them write the movies.
Which is crazy because like the writer of this movie, I think that I'm going to tell you right up top, I find this movie really kind of tedious and dull.
It is a lot not as fun as I was hoping it would be. I have seen it before, and I don't know why I did not change course. I had an entire year to do that, and I didn't.
No, but the thing about this movie is it was made by very accomplished Canadian writers and filmmakers. And still...
Yeah, but to be fair to them, they made it with no fucking money.
They made it with no money, and in such a way that they actually ran out of money, had to shelve the production. They had to rebuild the spaceship because it was actually destroyed at one point. And so the whole thing is really kind of like narratively slapdash. It's a touch over an hour long.
It is, I will say that for it. It is mercifully short. I don't think I could have handled an hour and a half.
I keep thinking of like what, because this is not what we get is not what the original script was, and I want to know like what the fuck did they originally intend? Because like if it's just Martian has like wintertime Canadian misadventures with children for like 90 minutes.
It's not even that. It's just madcap hilarity.
Right. Also, the English dialogue track in that trailer is not the same one as on the Vinegar Syndrome disc. Because I've watched this in English and I've watched it in French.
The English language track is nuts.
It's very, very crazy.
The French one is still pretty wacky, but the English one is like, wow. Yeah. When did you record this?
So the movie, The Christmas Martian. Let's start talking about it.
Le Martian de Noël.
Yep. This movie was made in the year 1971, year of our Lord. Mm-hmm. Which is, I believe, our last one was also 71.
Yeah. Very similar films.
They are so similar. So many lesbians in this movie.
Not as many lesbians in this movie. But none.
No. What?
I don't know. I'm just spicing it up.
So here are some other movies that were released in 1971. A Pistol for Django was released in 71.
Not as good as you want it to be.
I don't even believe that that's a Franco Nero Django movie.
It's not. It's the second one or the third.
It's like the
I think
third
it's the second.
one, I think.
It's not very good. The first Django movie fucking rules.
Yeah,
and I don't like westerns. The guy drags a coffin around with a Gatling gun in it.
I mean, even if he didn't bring the gun out and it's just like this cowboy dragging a coffin around, that's fucking cool. Rad. Yeah. What a cool concept.
But yeah, the sequels, you could skip them.
Yeah. Also in 71, The Incredible Two-Headed Transplant came out.
You should skip that one.
Is that the one with Rosie Greer?
Yes, it is.
Oh, man.
I'm pretty sure, isn't it?
Because there's a couple of them.
There's two of them.
There's a couple of like two-headed transplant movies, and I can't remember if that's the one where it's like
Rosie Greer and Ray Milland, and Ray Milland plays like a
racist.
Racist.
Yeah. Also in 1971, Octoman came out.
Not familiar with that.
Yeah, that's a octopus body with legs of a man.
Okay, I'm sold.
Right. And we also got Werewolves on Wheels in 1971.
Yeah.
Yep, I've seen it.
A movie that should be a lot better.
Very
than
misleading
it sounds
title.
like.
Not a lot of werewolves in that movie.
Nope.
A lot of wheels, not so much in the werewolf department.
Good soundtrack though.
Yep. And lastly, rounding it out, Gamera versus Zigra came out that year.
Boo!
Yeah, Gamera.
He may be a friend to children, but he is no friend of mine.
Friend all children. It's full of turtle meat.
Yep.
Yeah. So our cast and crew, we've got a movie here made by a man named Bernard Gosselin.
Hell now.
Bernard. In a career of dozens of movies, this was his only fiction piece.
Weird choice.
Weird choice.
Because I sent you a picture of this guy, and I was like, he looks like Quint from Jaws.
He does. It is a gnarled, grizzled filmmaker. Like, he is a dude who seems like he's either spent a lot of time, like, out trapping fur in the wilderness or, like, at sea.
And it was the former, not the trapping part, but he was known quite well for filming in, like, harsh conditions, like winter conditions.
Right. I read about him. There's a neat little interview in the Vinegar Syndrome release. It's like really a book, like when you get like a Criterion release. And one of them was like the whole reason like he was known for that is they got him when he was young. And before he knew any better, they were like, here, go on up here to like the fucking edge of the Northwest Territories and make a movie about lumberjacks in the dead of winter. And he like was just like, yeah, sure. And then like after that, they were just like, okay, Bernard Gosselin's our guy if we need him to do extreme temperatures.
Because he just thinks this is what filmmaking is.
Yeah, like he just didn't know any better. Like he didn't know he could be like, that sounds crazy, get somebody else. Or he was just hungry enough to to want to do the work.
I think it was that. I found a bunch of contemporary interviews with him from around when this came out, and despite looking like the mad trapper of Rat River, that's Canadian deep cut for y'all. He is seems like a very good-natured man.
Yeah.
The whole movie was his idea. He was super into it. He said he wanted to make a movie very much like Roch Demers, if people will recall. We talked about him on Peanut Butter. I want to say Peanut Butter Wolf, but that's not right. Peanut Butter Solution. He wanted to make a movie. It was like kids are very poorly represented in the media, like on television and in popular media. And he's like, because they're all like sweet and like the Brady Bunch, like they're all really good kids. He's like, I want to show kids as sort of mischievous, but like well-meaning and lighthearted, but they're not always well behaved. Yeah, I guess he succeeds with this, but
I know, you get a little bit of that. Like they're like the children in this movie are like auto thieves, basically.
Yeah, multiple. Yeah. But he's an interesting guy because he was like a pretty well respected documentarian for the National Film Board in Canada,
NFB.
And they were like super super serious. But this is also at the same time that. The Canadian film credit is like kicking off, and David Cronenberg is out there doing his thing, and like Denny Arcand is out there doing his like. People are starting to make other movies in Canada, like
because the deal with the NFB at the time was like they'd fund movies, but they had to be very serious affairs, and most of the time they were very politically charged. Yeah, and because of this, like. The vast bulk, like 99.9% of the movies they made were these kind of like dull fixed camera documentaries that were just like we're going to sort of sit a camera on a tripod and we're going to watch guys like chop trees down,
right?
On the edge of civilization, and we're gonna. Then later on we'll sort of show them loading them onto trucks, maybe. Like, I don't know. But it was always like really kind of lifeless. But
who was that for, though?
I don't fucking know. Because also they weren't really, like, there weren't a lot of features. There were a lot of them were shorts. Like, there's a couple of them on that Vinegar Syndrome release, which if you want to watch this movie, that's kind of the only way you can go about it is like the stuff that's still in print is the Vinegar Syndrome release of the Christmas Martian. And honestly, I'll tell you what, even though
it is technically a Canadian International Pictures release, it is distributed by.
It was Roger Corman's other deal. Roger Corman.
Roger Corman.
But yeah, their release of this is for a movie that, like, I honestly didn't care for. That disc is like packed with very interesting shit. There's 2 NFB shorts that are included on it to kind of give you kind of contextualize the whole thing, kind of give you an idea of what these people were actually working on at the time before they sort of stopped and did this. There's this really interesting animated short called The Beach that's on it. It's just 4 minutes long. It's by the movie's writer, Roch Carrier. There's no dialogue. It's just music and this like really awesome, like sort of like just like number 2 pencil animations. And then there is a documentary called The Joy of Winter. And it's like a 15-minute black and white documentary.
I object on principle.
of wintertime in Quebec City, presumably, and it I think it was made in like 1962, so it's very period, but it makes winter in Canada look fucking awesome. There's like people playing hockey. There's people like driving these like go-karts around on the ice, like slipping and sliding. There's these guys on skates who like skate up to like these like sort of like Evel Knievel jumping buses, except they're like, I don't know, like barrels or something like that. And they just keep stacking more barrels, and they're all like wiping out, crashing all over the place. There's people sledding and skiing. It looks really cool, and it's set to this like really neat little like jaunty jazz piece the whole time. It's just it's cool.
All right, here's my theory. My theory is what they're doing, and this is based on some knowledge, is that they're making short films to sort of preserve depictions of Canadian life, for future generations.
Sure.
What have you.
Sure.
And Canadian culture, especially French Canadian culture.
This whole thing, and particularly this movie, very Quebecois.
Yeah. And I think the film board seemed to focus quite heavily on French Canadian culture, which is odd because it's a very small percentage.
And there's a weird tension between the sort of like French Canadian scene and the rest of like English speaking Canada.
Well, because they're separatists. So
separatists.
That's why.
And they're really annoying about it too.
Yeah, they're like basically our Texas if Texas was, it had interesting things. Apologies to anyone living in Texas. Your state's not that great though. But also I think the other part is my theory is that they're also funding short films that are getting submitted to festivals, particularly the Academy Awards.
So this director, Bernard Gosselin, was primarily a cinematographer on like literally like dozens upon dozens of projects, commonly feature, like we said, a lot pastoral, northern themes, which makes a lot of sense given the context of this movie. No clear reason why he was out there for why he chose to step outside of the NFB network to make this movie. But as soon as he was done, he went back to making documentaries with basically a sharp focus on class.
I think they paid for most of this movie. That's probably why he did it. Okay. I'm sure they offered money because this is around the same time. Just like, there was a French sort of new wave cinema. Like every country was having its kind of renaissance in terms of film. And Canada had one too. And this is probably around the same time, 71. So it's about the same time. And so they're probably just trying to cash in on that.
That could be. I mean, there's also, when I was like, a thing that I noticed when I went and I visited when I was in Calgary earlier this year, one of the things that I noticed and I found very endearing and kind of fascinating is there is a sort of a national pride that Canada has about their cultural exports that is really, really interesting to me, and I like it a lot. And so it seems to sort of like run throughout the entire country. Like when I went to the National Music Museum. Like they are extremely.
It was just
precious.
Gordon Lightfoot wall to wall and Rush.
Buffy St. Marie,
Okay.
but like like everybody, like I mean, there's it's like 5 floors of like all of the music that came out of their Bachman Turner Overdrive. Got a big wall display. Rush in particular, like one of the things that they have on display that I thought was really awesome was you can see. There was a big thing when Neil Peart of Rush played drums at Hockey Night in Canada. They actually have the drum set that he played there. Like it's prominently displayed. Like my whole mission for being there was to go and see the Tonto synth from Phantom of the Paradise, which also has a really kind of wacky Canadian.
Yeah, that's not even a Canadian movie.
No, but man, fucking Winnipeg loves it.
Yeah, they do.
But like at the same time. Like the amount of like pride that they have in the like just there's all these like music artists was really kind of amazing to me and a little bit moving. And I sort of get that vibe in this too. Like the fact that they really, really wanted to capture and preserve Canadian culture is really, really in line with that sort of experience that I had there. And I like that a lot.
I mean, well, that's why Cronenberg always shoots his movies in Canada and makes no attempt to disguise that they're Canadian. They take place in Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, my feelings on Canada are well documented.
We are both vocally full-throated enthusiasts of Canada. I would move there if I could. You guys, you take breakfast seriously, you take condiments seriously, and I love that. Also, Letterkenny, Shoresy, all dressed crisps.
I mean, that's good enough, but there's got to be more.
John Candy.
Degrassi Junior High.
Degrassi Junior High. Just keep it. Alanis Morissette. Just keep it coming, guys. Yeah. So also, usually we don't talk about the writers in these movies, or we do it in a sort of tangential way. But I really wanted to mention this because the movie's writer. This movie is really fucking goofy and very, very silly, and it's just capers and hijinks and shit. But it was written by a guy named Roch Carrier, who is also a very well-known writer in Canada, whose short story, The Hockey Sweater, is so iconic that a line from the story appears on the back of the $5 note.
Wow.
Yeah. Or I'm not sure if it's all of them, but there was a series of them which featured bits and pieces of writing by Canadian authors. And he was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah. In spite of this movie, I said he's a very serious, well-respected author. Carrier revised this script and eventually published it as a short story by the same title. But he'd said made the Martian a sort of alien invader who comes to Earth to like dominate and conquer, but discovers that he'd rather play in the snow than repair his ship.
Okay. Well, all right.
I mean, I get it.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's still Canada.
You got it. And so our cast... Jesus Christ.
Good luck.
Our cast includes, again, so we've got a very well-respected cameraman working on this, a documentarian of some note. We have one of their sort of a writer who is a sort of national treasure, preserved on the back of their very currency. And the cast, really the only actor worth mentioning is a man named Marcel Sabourin. Mm-hmm. He's a Quebecois actor of some renown. He holds a record in Quebec for being the most prolific actor. He has an award named after him having to do with improv performance and has 2 biographies in print about him.
2?
Yes. And he's the guy who plays the Martian.
He is in 2. I've seen him in 2 other movies, and they are both very good.
Yeah. He occasionally breaks into American pictures in really small parts, but he works almost entirely in the French-Canadian current. And that is amazing given that like his role in this movie is to squeal with delight and throw his arms around and like dance around a lot. Like this is not a big acting part.
It's not a dignified role.
Not really.
It's fair to say.
This gives me the intention like I get the impression that he drank a lot of Hawaiian punch beforehand and just like got crazy with it.
All right. Yeah, he's in a movie. He's in one movie called Blood Money that is quite good. And then he's in another movie called Gina that's really good. They're both like crime movies.
Yeah. But, yep. And then we've got Catherine Leduc and Francois Gosselin, who only, they 2 children in the movie, they only acted in this movie. Francois Gosselin is Bernard Gosselin's son.
Yep. And he said the only reason they're in it is that he wanted to work with children that he was familiar with. And I wanted to say, Bernard, that's not how it works. But you did what you did, and that's what makes you who you are, I guess.
Yep. So some notes about this. This is not the first time that the Christmas season encounters Martians. The first was the 1964 production, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
Fuck yeah.
Made famous by Mystery Science Theater 3000. Yep.
It's a Rene Cardona movie.
Is that the one, or is Santa Claus the Rene Cardona movie?
I thought it was Santa Claus.
Because there's two. There's the one where Santa Claus faces off with the devil. I believe
that's the one.
I believe that's the Rene Cardona one. Because Santa Claus vs. Conquers the Martians is an American movie. Pia Zadora is in that one.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. As we said, we covered Tales for All series in our Peanut Butter Solution episode. Go back and listen to that one. That's a fucking crazy goddamn movie. And really funny episode. It's basically an hour and a half of us just scratching our heads, being very confused and really put off. Yep. Like we said, this movie was produced by Roch Demers, who becomes the sort of prime mover in the Tales for All series, which officially begins with the 1984 movie, The Dog Who Stopped the War. As that series gained traction in Canada, they retroactively applied the series to this movie made 13 years before the official start of Tales for All. I think we said there were 24 Tales for All movies as of this recording.
You know what this movie reminds me of? Remember the commercial with the I'm from Mars and I ate lots of candy bars?
Yes, I was thinking the same thing.
It's that. It has that energy.
Greetings, Earthlings! I'm Robalad. I'm from Mars and I eat all kinds of candy bars. What is this? Some earth fruit? It is good. It's better than good. It's yummy and not bad. Oh, wait till I tell the other Martians about this. By only eating candy bars, we don't know what we've missed. A good food message.
God, that's a deep cut. Like if you were a little kid in the 80s in Massachusetts, you probably knew that one. So yeah. This is the first independently produced children's film in Quebec history. I don't know if it's just Quebec or if it's Canada. Yeah, but like there are other children's movies at the time made by the NFB, but this was the first like indie.
Oh, it's 40% of the budget was provided by the government.
Okay, yeah, because I remember reading that Roch Demers had to put up something like. About the same because the budget of this movie is about $325,000.
Yeah.
The National Film Board was sort of prime mover in Quebecois film, the same way that Hollywood is in the United States. Stuff produced by them was characteristically stuffy by comparison. I mentioned it, that Joy of Winter thing that I was talking about. That's sort of what the NFB was making in terms of children's movies.
Oh, I did learn a weird fact that was, this probably speaks to what he would do, the class stuff he did after that, is, I guess through like the 50s and 60s and 70s, there was sort of this general assumption or perception of French Canadians as like sad and kind of uneducated second-class people.
Okay.
And so
that probably is why they're so bitter towards the rest of Canada.
And so, like, this was what part of their attempt to be like, look, we are whimsical and we have culture.
Okay. Yeah. The NFB, by the way, was mortified by this movie. Even though they had nothing to do with its production. But Roch Carrier, Bernard Gosselin being regular players in the network, they were convinced that the silliness and artlessness of this movie would cause irreparable damage to Canadian film and the NFB by extension.
Okay.
I know, they were wrong, obviously. Probably ought to learn to take themselves a little less seriously.
Yeah. Your current prime minister dressed in blackface once, okay? This movie is not doing any harm.
No, but that does sort of speak to like the kind of stuffiness of the NFB. Like they looked at this and were just like, "Oh my God, this is going to destroy everything that we've built for like the last 20 years." Yeah. Their reaction was probably why Gosselin never ventured out of documentaries ever again.
I mean, it's not like he's some groundbreaking director. There's nothing here that's particularly interesting or compelling. Or...
No, but Roch did actually approach him again in the 80s with another script by Carrier, hoping to have Gosselin direct it, but he passed on it, and the script remains unproduced. It was like another Tales
because
for
he was
All
like,
thing.
"Look, I would do it, but last time they said they'd kill me if I did it."
Right.
They've got
his children like held hostage and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They took Francois's thumbs.
Oh, poor Etienne. So, Paul Carup of CanExploitation.com states that on the commentary track that basically as much as we said in our peanut butter solution breakdown that Roch intended for the fantasy elements of Tales for All, including this movie, to be whimsical, but it just often comes off as creepy.
Yeah, because it's like
too weird. It's too weird.
It's an adult's idea of what children's fantasy is, and it's like children are fucking weird creatures, but they're not this weird.
No.
There's like an air of menace to them all the time, and it's like they don't fantasize about menace.
No. And also, a Canadian dude on Blue Sky told me that the elementary school in Canada that he went to screened this for his class in the 80s. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, okay, I guess it did like people wanted to watch this movie, man.
Weird.
Yeah. I don't suppose you've got any reviews for it, do you?
I tried. I could not find any.
Does not surprise me. Seems like even in the Canadian current, this is a pretty deep cut.
Yeah, I mean, people know what it is. Like, especially older people. Like, there's a lot of references to it, but it's mostly like, this is playing today at the library. It's that kind of shit. Like, I don't think it was ever taken seriously enough to be reviewed. The consensus was sort of just like, it's a family movie. Here you go. And now I think, present day, people are just like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah, it seems to be like all of the.
It's not that weird.
It compared to the Peanut Butter Solution, this movie is tame as hell.
Yeah, it's just like, it feels like an hour-long segment on a kids show.
It's
like where they would just play like some madcap music, and there would be goofy hijinks on the TV as people run around. Like, it's colorful, kids having fun. It's like, it's that kind of shit. Peanut Butter Solution has a narrative, like a storyline that is itself unsettling.
And it has, again, weird dark current running underneath everything. An undercurrent, you might call it.
Yeah, this one is just like, I don't know, it's just like a bunch of weird fucking scenes cut together into a movie. There's some dialogue. I think they're making it up on the spot.
Yeah. You want to talk about it?
Take me there.
All right, let's go. We open on a winter afternoon.
In space.
We do. We get like some explosions and some kind of psychedelic traveling through space stuff. Then they run the titles.
And then we get a text on screen that says, everybody knows a Martian can disguise itself into anything, even a llama. The one we met came disguised as a human. Almost. But llama?
Oh yeah, just put a pin in that, because
It's not going to make any more sense when we get there either.
No, it's not. There's a winter afternoon in northern Quebec. Frankie and Catherine, or Catu.
Yeah, Catu.
Play in the snow on their way to the grocery store to pick up bread for their mother.
You know what this movie reminds me of? It's like if the entire, the scene in The Brood where they steal the girl from class and they're walking down the road? It's if that was an hour-long scene.
Yeah, the two broodlings stop to throw snow on them and steal candy and fly.
Yeah, it's just it's like a little bit bleak. The snow's a little dirty looking. Everybody, even if they're not poor, they look poor. The general store reminds me of my pharmacy, which is real low rent, but it's pretty great. I love it. And just as kids would do, if you set them loose on a general store, they go in, they buy some stuffing and some cream cheese. Just kid stuff.
Kid stuff. So, outside, a strange individual wanders around town in a big fur coat, leaving green footprints behind.
Please welcome to to the main stage, the Christmas Martian, who is dressed in an outfit similar to what Cher wears in the Turn Back Time video. But it's still very chic. It's very couture. It's like, it's Linda, Kate, Naomi, Christmas Martian. It's all very wild.
It's like a blue body stocking. He's a little chubby.
Yes, look, I don't like to judge people for their appearance, but this man's body is off-putting.
And on top of it all is a head-to-toe green fishnet mesh.
Yeah.
Which covers his face, and it has like eye holes.
Yep.
And a hole for his mouth.
Yeah.
And he seems to be wearing like a furry hat underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing comes to a point at the top of his head, and it's very upsetting to look at.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Well, he blows bubbles out of his head.
And he also blows bubbles out of his head.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the guy at the counter at the general store does not know what to make of this scene.
Nope, because he enters the store, like we said, bubbles just going everywhere. And he helps himself to some candy and then grabs whatever's right in front of him and runs,
Just like
leaving the
like
grocer
a
and the
fucking
children's.
savage. He is just shoveling candy like me on a Saturday night, just shoveling jelly beans into his face. Yeah.
Then he just grabs a handful, like an armful of whatever is right in front of him, and just pieces out.
And the guy behind the counter is flabbergasted, you might say.
Yep.
And it's unclear which part he's upset about.
I tell you what he was upset about. He was upset about the body stocking and the green mesh
Probably.
all over
He's
his
like,
face.
I don't know who this man is, but he is here to do no good.
Dressed like that, he's nothing but bad news.
Yep.
Oh,
the music, though. The music's a real banger at this point.
Oh, God. The music in this movie is like blippy synthesizer stuff.
It's real weird.
It gets so weird. Yeah. So the police are called, and they chase after him in their car while the kids hitch a ride home on a horse-drawn sled. It's all incredibly pastoral.
Is the folksy sleigh ride, was this a seasonal thing, or is this just how they travel there? Because it seems very inefficient.
Because what they say is like, our uncle has a car, but when it's snowy, he prefers to travel like this. And I'm like, I kind of get that. Like, it might be fun, like once.
I gotta wonder why did this get put out recently?
I don't fucking know.
Because anybody who would have had fond memories of this would have to be older than us, so in their 50s, 60s maybe.
Yeah.
But it's also the intended audience for this is quite young.
Correct.
Like this
Correct.
is not
like, this is for like 8-year-olds
or younger. Like
sure, yes, 8-year-olds and under.
Is very simple. It's very much like, we like horses. Horses have ears and big teeth, but they're furry and nice. Let's get on the sleigh. It's that kind of dialogue where you're like, yeah, why don't you just flash some colors around, jingle some keys in their face, and that's a fucking movie.
Yeah.
I just find it so, and look, I picked this one. It is all on me, but still, I was like, why would someone re-release this movie? Who is it for?
You know what? I'll tell you what is, I seem to remember its release coinciding with Severin's release of Peanut Butter Solution, and it's got...
No, this just came out last year.
Oh, shit,
Peanut Butter Solution is pretty old.
All right. I don't know. I thought it was sort of competitive because, like, there's, like, some connection between the two of them, but I don't know. I mean, it seems, even by Vinegar Syndrome standards, it seems kind of out of step with the rest of the stuff that they're releasing.
Well, so the Canadian International Pictures puts out a lot of French-Canadian stuff.
Okay.
And they released they released the dog who ended the war.
Yeah.
Those fucking monsters. They released the one of the other ones with the guy from Twin Peaks in it.
The Wonder, I think it's called The Wonderful World of Small or something.
Yeah, something like that. So I imagine they're probably angling to put out the rest of them.
Okay. So this is them kind of going, is there a market for Tales for All?
Maybe. I mean, they're going to run into a problem with Peanut Butter Solution, but
yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's probably why. But the more we talk about it, I'm just like, the audience for this is so limited Like, it just reminds me of, like, those kids' shows, mostly PBS stuff, where, like, they would just have segments, like short film segments.
Oh, sure. They're like when you were saying that earlier, like, my mind immediately went to, like, old Sesame Street episodes where it was, like, they would do a little bit of puppet and character stuff, but, like, most of Sesame Street was, like, bits and pieces of, like, animated things or, like, weird sort of arty acted segments.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's not Sesame Street, but still.
That is Sesame Street.
I thought that was Electric Company.
Nope. Electric Company was for kids a little older than Sesame Street.
Well, maybe they would have liked this.
Maybe. Yeah.
I did.
So, yeah. Back at the grocery store, crowd of locals have gathered. One of the local dudes is a harried, sweaty guy, explaining that he saw a flying saucer, much to the mockery of his friends.
Is he the cab driver? One of them has it looks like a police hat, but it's not. He has like a red sweater on, and he looks like Noel Fielding from the Mighty Boosh.
I think that is him. No. No, he's the guy who I keep confusing with a cop.
Yeah.
He's the one who sees her he sees the Martian turn into, like, Mary Poppins or something.
Sort of, yeah.
Whatever. So, yeah, the local radio station announcer reports that several locals all saw strange lights up in the sky.
Yeah, it's the Phoenix Lights.
Yeah.
Except it's in Canada.
So, back in town, the police, like, again, it's not the police, it's a cab driver. I keep calling him a cop, but
no Fielding
rides up on a strange man, the Martian, from the grocery store. He quickly transforms into an old lady to give the cops the slip.
But he still has the fucking thing on his face.
I know. Not very good at it. He's also got, like green...
old ladies do not wear body stockings and have, like, weird serial killer masks. I mean, that I know of.
Don't give him any ideas. So they ask him if he needs a lift somewhere, but instead of speaking, he pulls out a giant oversized match. He strikes it and magically floats up into the sky and drifts away.
Giggling like a lunatic the whole way.
Yep. And the Martian's giggling is also different in the French and English versions. Mm-hmm. I think I prefer the French one because it's just a little crazier. So now the kids snowshoe across a frozen lake, looking for a tree to cut down for Christmas. Kathy,
and she says, isn't that where we cut our tree last year? And then inexplicably, we jump to the subject of Martians.
Right. Because,
no transition.
Yep. Kathy, the little girl, theorizes that the bubble guy at the grocery store was a Martian. Speaking of Martians, the Martian watches them from a distant tree through a weird kaleidoscope binoculars device, squealing with glee as they slip and slide down snowy slopes.
Yeah, and then he laughs at Francois because he's a dick. I have a note about how the Martian is watching these random children through his strange binoculars and making some, like, weird, heavy breathing noise while he's doing it.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say pervert. This is his behavior with the children.
It's suspect.
It's very suspect. Like, there's a point where he's like, he brings them into his little vehicle and he feeds them all the candy they can eat. And there's a lot of tickling involved.
Oh, yeah, no,
then he kisses them and, like,
don't like that.
It's like, buddy, you met them like 30 minutes ago. Let's pump the brakes here.
A little too familiar. I'm gonna have you take about 50% off here.
So yeah.
Also, what responsible adult sends two children out into the wilderness with a hatchet to fetch the family Christmas
We're going to talk about their parents a little bit later on.
Because if anyone is to blame for whatever happens in this film, it's those two.
Oh my God. These parents. Oh, I'm going to save it. So now they eventually...
I don't want to give any credence to how people felt about French Canadians, but these two parents are not helping the situation.
Not doing it. But I think that they're definitely very consistent with parents in the 1970s.
Yeah, probably.
So now they eventually come to a tree they like and they chop it down with a little axe.
Mm-hmm. And their dialogue continues to be exceedingly strange.
Yeah.
It's
I have no notes about what they're talking about.
It's very much like, hello, how are you today? I am fine, thank you. How are you?
It's just like inane chatter.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of goes in one ear and goes out the other for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You didn't miss anything.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Martian wanders around out in the snow, leaving green footprints behind in some kind of pattern. I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I think it's just supposed to be like, look, kids, isn't this funny?
Yeah. Flashing colors, jingling keys.
Jingling keys. The kids begin to drag their tree home, coming upon the green prints. They follow them up a hill to a tree where they think someone is hiding, and sure enough, the tree starts to run away from them while silly, blippy music plays.
Yeah, it is the first of many kind of Benny Hill-esque moments.
It really is. You remove the saxophone, give him an Oberheim synthesizer.
Yeah.
So you can see the Martian behind the tree, joyfully throwing it aside, bubbles blowing all over the place, and then he runs away.
And the two of them are just like, I'll be damned.
Yeah, we've definitely not the right reaction. Like I think even at 8 years old, I'd been like, is this guy stalking us?
I'd be like, I think we need to tell somebody. This is not normal.
No, they got to tell the gendarme.
That's
The gendarmerie.
Monsieur.
So back at the grocery store, the local adults all exchange stories with the cops who tell their story.
What's the deal? Do these fucking dudes just hang out at the general store all day long? Again,
not a whole lot else to do in this town, man.
I don't want to support the idea that, French Canadians are lazy and uncultured, but these dudes don't seem to do much.
No, they hang out. I get the feeling that we don't see in this movie because it's a children's museum. A lot of drinking going on in this place. A lot of Molson.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Wild turkey. But from a flask. They're
Canadian club whiskey.
Oof.
So yeah, like I said, the sweaty dude explains what happened to him the night he went to get something to eat in the middle of the night. There he is, just eating some bread in the kitchen like a normal man.
Yeah, no, listen. He cuts a piece of roast beef. And he has a piece of white bread. And he just sort of puts the meat on the end of the bread and just starts shoveling it into his face.
Yeah.
He doesn't even make a sandwich. He doesn't fold the bread. He doesn't do anything. He's just puts a little bit of meat and then just starts cramming it into his mouth.
Yep, just like normal men.
Like that's a normal way to eat something.
Just an activity of an innocent man.
Nope. Not a normal man.
Nope. And then out the window, he sees a big, glowing egg flying in the sky. Then he ran out to get a better look, but he found nothing.
But he's very clear to point out, he looks out the window, not because I'm nosy, like you fucking perverts.
Nope. So now the kids crest a hill in the snow, come upon a big flying red saucer in the snow with green footprints leading up to it. So they walk around it looking for a way in, and they come upon a hatch that they climb inside. Now,
there's a moment, we got to step back for a minute, because there's a moment when the general store owner starts making like
kissy
faces at him.
I don't get it. Why?
Just like you do.
Is he mocking him? Is that supposed to be mockery?
I will not claim to understand French Canadian.
Is it French mockery?
I mean, I could do some research.
Okay.
I know some French Canadians.
Yeah.
I want to ask them. It seems weird and intrusive.
You guys do a lot of kissy face when you're making fun of your friends? So, yeah, inside the ship, it's like Doctor Who's TARDIS. This is way bigger on the inside. The Martian is there.
Is that what that is a reference to? It's like pop culture thing. It's way bigger on the... Okay.
Way bigger on the inside. It's a Doctor Who thing.
Not a doctor.
Yeah.
It always just makes me think of that House of Leaves.
That's also bigger on the inside. So the Martian is there, and there's some kind of weird psychedelic light show happening as he reaches towards them menacingly.
Yeah, but also when they enter the spaceship, the Martian is just sort of laying out, and he's kind of giving real heavy Grace Jones and Vamp vibes. He's just laying there, being sexy, I guess.
Reaching towards them. He's got some glowing thing on his hand.
And then he starts shooting them with knockoff M&Ms or some kind of delicious French Canadian Skittles or something.
Yeah, because the children are cowering. They're supposed to be afraid. And he's like, oh shit, I'm frightening these kids. I should shower them with candy.
Yeah, maybe it's the big weird net you have over your head.
Yeah, and so he's also like slowly like eating candy that he just has in his hand.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's like it's real sexual moment.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Like he should be laid out on some sort of bearskin rug.
Or a chair painted by Keith Haring.
And then he feeds one to Catherine, and I actually
right.
shuddered a little bit.
He's like, oh shit, I should groom these kids a little bit. And he's like, and this like tube comes down out of the ship and literally floods it with candy. Because what do kids like? They love candy.
Yeah, and then he's like writhing around in the pile of candy like some giant adult baby wearing a sexy fishnet outfit.
Oh, it's the worst. It's just terrible. Because then,
it's so weird.
the kids are so covered in it that they seem to have been knocked unconscious by it.
This is starting to feel like a very dark metaphor. Like sometimes your mind will block out the experience altogether, but other times it will create different memories.
So yeah, and then he like reaches over and he's like joyfully feeding them candy.
Oh, I didn't like it.
Oh no, none of this. I don't care for any of this.
Oh dear.
No.
Oh no.
And then they all happily throw candy at each other, having broken the ice.
And I find his portly body very off-putting.
And when they're done, the ship cleans itself up, removing all the evidence.
Oh no!
All the candy suddenly disappearing up a clear pipe in the ship until it's gone.
Taking with it any hairs and fibers.
So the Martian doesn't speak English or French, depending on the version that you're watching. He only speaks Martian. So he grabs this device and he tries to get the kids to speak into it, but they don't understand what he's doing and try to mimic his speech until they get it and both talk frantically into the device.
But it goes on for way too long. It's like weird pantomime.
Yeah.
But it's like drags out. I'm like, just fucking cut to the chase.
I know. Then he puts the device into some bubbling Martian apparatus, which kicks out a large glass of some liquid.
And all of a sudden he's like teaching them to make meth or wine or something. Like
toilet wine, Martian toilet wine.
Because then he starts drinking the cheer wine. It's very odd. Out of what looks like a bong?
It's a weird glass. Like you probably drank beer out of a glass like that.
Listen, when it comes to beer, I am 100% one of those assholes. I am a beer snob, and I will stand by it. I will never, however, drink from a boot. That is what you're referring to, and that's just for dicks. That's for idiots on spring break.
As he drinks it, he begins to speak English or French, depending on which version you're watching, getting better at it with each sip until he can speak reasonably well.
Then they cut back to the parents who are sitting in the bleakest kitchen I've ever seen, eating, and they're like, "Where are the children?" "I don't know. I think they went outside. I hope they're not dead." "They're probably not dead." And cut away.
Oh yeah, these parent scenes all last about like 8 seconds long, and it's always like, "Where are the children?" "I don't know. Let them run free. It's vacation."
"Children should be free. Children are troublesome." No, they're fine."
So when he can finally speak, he tells the kids that he can't leave Earth because his ship is broken. So the kids go home and begin.
And I will say, when you were watching this, you texted me to say, I liked it better when the Martian didn't talk.
Yeah. So this is now the beginning of their fucking crime spree. This reign of terror that they're going to just lord over their town in this one afternoon.
It is very odd because they're ostensibly trying to help him get his ship repaired.
It involves a lot of theft.
It does. And then the Martian now that he speaks, he's doing kind of like an Ed Wynn thing, but like draggy.
Yeah.
Like Ed Wynn, for those who don't know, those who aren't familiar with your silent era film stars, Ed Wynn was the voice of the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland. He was in a shitload of things, but he kind of talks like this.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's what the English language version of the Martian sounds like. The French language version is not quite that outrageous, but his voice is super high pitched.
Yeah. It's very, very strange.
Yeah. So the kids go home and grab their dad's tools and bring them back.
They get home, and the first thing that Francois says to Ketu is try to be quiet. And then he goes into the shed and starts banging around with all the tools.
Right. No, they walk back to the saucer. The Martian struggles to walk in the snow, so Frankie gives him his skis to help him. And this results in Zany slipping and sliding down the hill while the Martian giggles like a mental patient.
Yeah. It's our second Benny Hill montage, but on skis this time.
He's going down the hill, crashing into a tree like he's Homer Simpson, distracted by stupid, sexy Flanders.
I was going to make a Sonny Bono joke. I guess it would be tasteless.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
Look, Sonny Bono sucked. It's fine. It's fine to laugh at that.
Oh, man, we're going to get killed. Oh.
At least I went down fighting over the Christmas Martian. Come on, cancel me, the internet.
Then they catch a ride on a sled that's pulling a large mountain of manure.
My notes refer to it as the shit sled. They're riding the shit sled into town.
Because the kids get on and they're like it's nothing, and the Martian is like, "Isn't this bothering you?"
Yeah. Well, see, look, if I were the shit sled driver, I would call the police immediately.
Two kids show up with their ostensibly adult friend,
who has on a body stocking that also goes over his head in a weird fishnet way.
Yeah. Nope. Perfectly normal shit happening in Quebec. The scent eventually drives them away. The Martian strikes one of his magic matches and picks the kids up so that they can all drift through the sky together.
And look, I get that they're flying, but they don't seem to be going much faster than they would have been on the shit sled.
No, they drift into directly in front of the sun to have this sort of artful shot of them flying, but they're not moving.
I will say there are moments in this movie where I'm like, oh, that's a really interesting shot. And then I'm like, this is the Christmas Martian. What are you talking about?
I know. There were times
I've been watching too much Criterion.
Yeah, you're really in Ingmar Bergman mode, and you're like, yes, quite the composition in this Christmas Martian.
The use of light and shadow here plays beautifully on the snow.
Yeah. So back in the ship, the Martian uses the tools to fix the saucer, starts it up, but it doesn't quite work, sparking and smoking.
The fucking Christmas Martian can't do anything.
He cannot do shit. He's going to have these two children.
And so, then he sends a little girl down to fix it.
Yeah. So Kathy goes down into the guts of the ship, pulls out a broken part. Unable to fix it, the kids take it across town to a metal worker who welds it together for them.
And at first I thought, does every town have a town welder? And then I thought, well, when I lived in Portsmouth, if I needed something welded, I knew where I could go to get it welded. So
I know. I can think of a metal worker in town right now that I could go to.
Is it Megan Stelter?
No.
Okay.
But she's definitely an option, isn't she?
Shout out to Megan Stelter, who's definitely not listening. But I like her a lot.
Yeah. So on the way back, they help themselves to the metal worker's snowmobile.
Yeah, these kids giving no fucks. The 70s were wild. You jack this guy's snowmobile after you ask a favor?
Because they show up and then they're like, hey, we should take the snowmobile. Yeah, he won't mind.
Because they're like, hey, this thing's broken. Can you fix it? And he's like, what is it? They're like, don't worry about it. Also, we're going to steal your shit.
The thing is in this moment, I am firmly in the grips of this movie's madness. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
I mean, as someone who is high most of the time, I was not when I watched this movie. And I kind of felt like I was.
This movie makes me think that people in Quebec are on acid all the time.
Yeah, well.
It is just psychotic reactions to everything. Everybody's just kind of guessing and making the wildest leaps in logic.
Well, here's what might explain it. Because the next scene is the children are driving the snowmobile and the Christmas Martian is on the back on a sled.
Yes, giggling like a psycho the entire way.
He's got to be breathing so much toxic gas from the back.
Yep.
And then they just drive straight through a church like a bunch of heathens.
Diesel fuels it is right directly into his face piece. Yeah, they drive it into and out of buildings like all over town. There's a lot of like stutter step editing to make it seem a little more madcap.
Yeah, it's very much like, what if the Partridge Family were a little bit animated?
Yeah.
Like it has that like Scooby-Doo, like they go in one door and come out another one, like that kind of editing.
Right.
Meanwhile, there's like
because the next
weird
scene
synth music in the back.
The next scene is there's like just zany shit where they play around in some kind of abandoned house. Again, set to this like madcap blippy synth song.
Yep,
It's all like
our third Benny Hill montage.
Yeah, it's all caper music and shit. Like it's crazy.
Did you read the there's like
I didn't read the thing about the musician.
So the musician is actually like you read the first, so the booklet that comes with this, the Canadian international release of this, the first part is the interview about Bernard Gosselin, because I think he's dead, right?
Yes, he died in I think 2009.
Okay, so there's the interview, and the second one is about the band that did the music, and it's more specifically about the guy who led the. So the first part, Bernard Gosselin, you're sort of like, oh, he sounds like a warm, cuddly fella who's just happens to look like Quint from Jaws. The second one is the saddest fucking thing you've ever heard. Because the band was like this weird, like, kind of they were like session musicians mostly, but they kind of put together this collective of musicians that would just kind of play together. Like they kind of referred to themselves a little bit like the Wrecking Crew. The Phil
Spector's group.
I think it was Atlantic, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they mostly worked with Phil Spector.
So it's a little bit like that, where it's just like a bunch of session musicians, and this dude, it's like a really sad story. He's like super talented, plays a bunch of instruments, like really kind of forward-looking musician, really innovative, but had like a huge drug problem, drinking problem, and it turned out that like he, for this entire period, was like really, really struggling with his sexuality. And like eventually he like disappears, and they kind of track him down eventually, and he was like, "Hey, I've come to terms with this, but like I don't really want to see you guys anymore because you represent this other part of my life that was really, really terrible, and I can't open that door again." And they're all kind of like, "Oh yeah, no, we get it, man. It's cool. Just happy to know you're alive." And then like he dies a couple years later from just like, he beat the shit out of his body for too long and who knows what else. But it's like, God damn it. You set me up with the cuddly Canadian woodsman, and then you hit me with this story.
Yeah, it can't all be Putin and fucking.
You just dragged me down with internalized homophobia like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So there's some zany shit going on. The Martian gets extremely excited when he sees a bunch of kids playing hockey on a little rink.
And we finally get some things that are like more like Canada.
I know. Yeah. And so he runs down to the ice, sliding around on it like a penguin, much to everybody's delight.
You can't, this is Canada. These people take hockey very seriously.
Yep.
You can't just jump into their game and put the fucking puck in your mouth like some weirdo animal.
No, sliding around on your stomach, but they love him. This Martian gets hockey.
Listen, what I know about this Martian is that I think he's starting to demonstrate symptoms of bipolar disorder.
This is definitely...
Like, it really reminded me of the time that, what's his name? Daniel Johnson jumped out of the plane. He has kind of that energy.
Yeah. He carries a puck around his mouth, scores some goals. Everybody cheers as he leaps around like a Muppet. Just bubbles going everywhere.
Nobody asks, why does this man blow bubbles out of his head? What the hell is going on? Why does he have a big fishing net over his face? Is he going to hurt us? And no questions.
Back on the ship, he explains to the kids that Martians didn't think anybody lived on Earth. Then they put the part back on the ship and fires up the saucer, but it doesn't work until Kathy sneezes, and then it lifts off. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that they're on the outside.
No, not yet.
Okay.
So the metalworker guy reports his snowmobile stolen to the cops. Moral of the story being, don't leave your shit unattended with Frankie and Kathy around.
I mean, look, they're like, usually here in wherever Canada, the Northern Territories, we leave our doors open. We leave the keys in the snowmobiles. Like, we think we can trust our neighbors. This fucking outsider comes to town. What do you know?
Oh, yeah, this is the part in the fucking true crime documentary where they were like, yeah, we always used to leave our doors unlocked.
Yeah, this is in cold blood Canada.
Yep, when the cop goes outside, the snowmobile is magically returned, but somehow his snowplow is gone.
Mm-hmm. And look, this is rural Canada. So there's absolutely, that little boy knows how to drive a snowplow.
Oh, he absolutely knows how to operate that piece of machine.
Because these kids are like, what, 10?
Maybe. Yeah. It turns out that Frankie stole it and is using it to dig the saucer out while the Martian gleefully leaps around and dances around it.
I don't know about the Martian.
He is full Kermit the Frog arms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just his fucking the acting in this movie is crazy. Yeah. So Frankie and the Martian climb on top of the saucer while Kathy goes inside. They try to clean it off, but Kathy messes with the controls and suddenly lifts off with the two clinging to it perilously outside.
And my note says, Kathy, you fucking idiot.
And the thing about this this saucer that I love is it has this like it's a big like red flying saucer, but it has this like an antenna in the middle of the top, and that is to hide the fact that when the thing is shown lifting off, it's actually a cable attached to a fucking crane.
Yeah. And honestly, they do a decent job. I mean, clearly, this is a low budget production, but like they do a decent job covering that up.
Yeah. It's a neat little piece of movie magic.
And then they do I don't think it's a crane shot. I think it's a helicopter shot.
No, it is
it's
a helicopter shot, but it's a crane lifting the...
Right, it's a crane lifting, but I think it's a helicopter shot over the town. And they do this sort of like wide, really high shot of the town. And the town looks like the town from 30 Days of Night. Which is like, this is prime for Martian violence.
Yeah. So Kathy is desperately trying to land it. It does, and Frankie and the Martian slide off into the snow below, just happily. Oh. So in an interview with Marcel Sabourin, he explains that when they were going to shoot this scene, he was like expressing concern for doing this scene with Gosselin's son because it seemed unsafe. Gosselin assured him that the crane which lifted the saucer was fine and safe and it'd be great. 10 minutes after they got the scene in the can, the crane's boom failed and collapsed to the ground.
It would have been better if he was like, look, I'm very fertile. I can have another.
Look at this face. I'm a man who's been to sea.
Do you see this beard? Come on.
Look at this fucking thing. So yeah, when Kathy comes out of the ship, they all happily collapse into the snow. And the Martian...
I don't like this part.
The Martian tickles the children.
I don't like this part. Look, I'm a big hands to yourself, everybody person. And I that goes double for adults with children when they're not your children.
Right, here's the thing.
Even if they are your children, hands to yourself, everybody. Shows you what kind of person I am.
They have known this Martian presumably for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And here he is just getting real familiar with them in a way that I don't like it.
I don't know if that's a 1970s intimacy. I don't know if that's a Canadian intimacy. I just know that it made me uncomfortable.
I know. Oh boy. Yeah. So now, also the kids returned the snow plow while nobody was looking.
Yeah, but that happens off screen, presumably.
So now, with the saucer fixed, they'll climb inside, take a ride. At home, Frankie and Kathy's mom finds that their Christmas turkey is missing, which they have also stolen.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, the turkey is gone. Well, what did you do with it? I don't know. It was in the oven. Did you put it somewhere else? I don't think so. Do you think someone stole it? That's preposterous, Steve. Why would you even suggest that? I don't know, Susan. I thought we could tell each other everything. It's just it's so bizarre.
Yeah. And so we cut to the ship's interior. The Martian and the two kids happily eat the stolen turkey.
You know, like normal. Like they're not putting it on the edge of the bread and then cramming it in their face.
No, they're eating like normal men. So he shows them pictures of Mars stuff like cars and houses, which are built by Martian bees or something. Finally getting around to it, they ask the art Martian what his name is.
Well, first Kathy has to play them a song.
Oh, right.
Recorder,
The fucking
because
recorder.
of course she plays the fucking recorder because she sucks.
Yep. They ask the Martian what his name is, and he tells them in Martian, and then in English, it translates to, and I'm not making this up, poo flower.
No, that's how you know who this movie is for.
Right. In the French
Because
language...
anybody older than 7 would be like, oh, come on, man. You don't pander. Don't pander.
His name is Poo Flower. In the French language version, his name is Green Owl.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Apparently
difference.
not funny enough for not funny enough for Americans. The kids, of course.
My note says though, children, he's taking you across state lines.
Right. This is now a matter for the RCMP. Mm-hmm. The kids think this is hilarious, by the way. So back on Earth, the cops are worried that there's a crime wave taking place in their town. Frankie and Kathy's mom starts to worry where the children are and where the Christmas turkey is. Dad seems characteristically 70s about it.
Yeah, this is my note says don't gaslight her. She should 100% be worried about where her children are.
Don't worry about it, Mom. They're probably fine. And then he runs out to help the cops investigate this Martian crime wave.
Yeah. Fucking finally doing something. But he's not even looking for his kids. He's just helping with the stolen vehicles.
Right. Yeah,
or some shit.
he has absolutely no concerns about his children. There's property that's being stolen here.
Oh, yeah. Also, read the crime wave. We've had a stolen snowmobile that got returned, a stolen snowplow that got returned, and a stolen turkey.
Yeah.
So really, we're all just investigating a stolen turkey, not the missing children.
Yeah. On the saucer, the Martian uses some device on his belt to entertain the kids by magically...
Okay, don't like this part either.
Changing his costume as a firefighter, a nun. He's got a big Indian costume.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Not a fan of that one.
Real racist.
Given North American history involving the natives.
Yeah.
Oh, and then a knight.
So yeah, he's a firefighter. He's a cop, construction worker, Indian.
He's a leather man.
He's whatever the fifth one was. Then they laugh at a polar bear who falls in the water.
That's right. He takes him to the Sahara Desert and then the Arctic Circle.
My note says, "Fuck these kids."
Just, oh God. And then he takes them home. So by night...
on their way home, he's like, just look at your town. Isn't it beautiful? And my note says, I don't know if I'd call their town beautiful.
It's a little desolate.
It's rural.
It's the sort of place that gives you the impression that it's never not without snow.
Yeah.
You know?
And the snow is always a little bit dirty.
It's always a little dirty.
Like, you know how, like, first snowfall of every year, like, oh, it looks beautiful. And then 2 days later, you're like, oh, Jesus, this is fucking gross. I hate this so much.
Oil and dirt, because the fucking snowplows just are throwing it everywhere.
And that's their town. Every day is third day snow.
And then they head out to look for the flying saucer as an angry mob of snowmobile riding lunatics.
And it has this, like, that vibe of the scene in Black Christmas where they're all going out to look for the little dead girl.
That's right.
On the snowmobiles. Like, everyone is just, like, bundled up in all of their clothing.
Right. Back on the saucer, the Martian gets ready to leave for home, explaining that Earth isn't quite ready to visit Mars, but one day they will be, and he'll be back to visit. And then the
goodbye scene is, it's not Tickle Monster moment weird, but it's up there. It's like, you guys have known him for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's cool. Just be like, all right, see ya. Thanks for all the hilarity.
And then
or
the
whatever.
kids leave, and the music swells, suggesting that the movie is just about over.
Yeah, it has like a weird E.T. vibe.
Yeah. Oh, and a lot of the documents about this movie, they get a little precious about that, where they're like, we like E.T. was definitely like Steven Spielberg definitely watched this movie before he made E.T. And I was like, all right, guys,
I guarantee you he did not.
Like, guys, let's calm down with that shit.
I promise you, nobody outside of Canada watched this movie. Actually, it did get a U.S. release.
Oh, God. They get home at night, the children, after having quite an adventure. Meanwhile, the snowmobile mob rides up on the saucer as the Martian gets ready to get back home. He looks out his periscope thing and sees them approaching.
And his first response is like, you know what? I ought to get out there and entertain them.
I know, like, why he doesn't just fucking bail is like anybody's guess. Instead, he joyfully flings himself around the saucer's interior.
But also, before we even get to that, there's the scene where they're all sitting at the table in their sad house. And Francois, for some reason, reaches into the bowl of lettuce and just grabs this giant piece of lettuce and just starts chomping into it.
And Mom's like, aren't you hungry? You hardly touched your food. And I'm like, lady, he's been eating fucking Martian candy all day.
Yeah, fucking Martian Skittles.
Yeah,
it was tickle fights.
Right.
Stealing vehicles.
He started to question his memories of the day.
Yeah. He's just like, I don't know, I feel like I lost 4 hours of time here.
I'm very sleepy for some reason.
Oh, God, I hate this. It's starting to sound like the end of, what's that fucking Todd Solondz?
Oh, no, it's Happiness.
Oh, no.
Scott Chase told me that was the funniest comedy he'd ever seen.
God damn it, Scott Chase. And I know you are listening.
Yep. I was like, oh shit, okay, that's a great endorsement. So I watched it. I wanted to punch him in the fucking mouth that day.
And if for those of you who are like, hey, I don't know what happiness is, I'm going to look that up. Maybe I'll watch that movie.
You don't have to. Just don't.
Do not watch that movie.
Todd Solondz got some problems.
Don't. It's a terrible film.
No. Anyway, so back to the Martian. Joyfully flings himself around inside the saucer, seeing an opportunity to fuck with these guys, I guess.
Yeah.
So he goes out to greet them, and everyone in the mob who's seen him up to this point recognizes him. And then he leads them on a chase around the snowy landscape, running back and forth to some jangly piano caper music.
It's like our 6th Benny Hill moment.
This is like Keystone Cops music.
Is anybody still listening to this episode?
So they all think they have him cornered several times, but he can teleport all over the place, just driving them nuts. Till he slides down a hill ahead of the mob, and they all encircle him and collapse on him, but he teleports back to the saucer where he fucks with them some more while the police chief cries in the snow.
Then turns into a llama for some reason.
He lifts off using one of those flying matches as the mob looks on disappointed. Back at home, the kids greet Dad, who said, that's right, he turns into a llama.
Would you just fucking catch that?
I meant to bring that up, but I didn't even write that in my notes because what the fuck? What? Yes, the screen flashes, and he's like, it's not like there's a llama on the screen. It's like a close up of a llama's face.
Yeah. It's just like it's a superimposed. It's not superimposed, like a double negative. I don't know what it is.
It's like something you'd see in like a Kenneth Anger movie.
Yeah.
About Alistair Crump.
But less sexy. Or Satan-y.
Yeah. Back home, the kids greet Dad, who's had quite a night. Tries to explain to his wife what happened, but
he's had quite a night.
He can't, and he instead goes off and puts on a Santa Claus costume while the rest of the mob chases the Martian around them some more.
Yeah, the Martian chasing scene goes on for way too fucking long.
Yep, so Dad plays Santa for the kids, gives them a couple of presents, but then they spot another guy in a Santa costume. He comes in, brings them a small version of the flying saucer.
Yeah, my question is, why does Santa Claus look like a serial killer in a bodysuit?
Right. It's the Martian in disguise. At some point, they must have been shooting the movie and went, isn't this like the Christmas Martian? Like, what? Shouldn't we do some Christmas stuff, I guess?
And then somebody else was like, just fucking end the movie.
Because we are right there. This is like minute 64 of a 65-minute movie. Cops bust in and arrest both Santas. During the car ride, the Martian blows bubbles and then magically vanishes from the back of the car as the narration, supposedly adult Frankie, explains that he never found out why the Martian blows bubbles. Thanks for nothing, Frankie.
Yep. Might have been in the script. Who knows? Did it even have a script? Who's to say?
Then we cut to the saucer as it takes off and flies away in the night. Flies up on the kid's house as they wave goodbye, and a song about a Christmas Martian plays as he flies away. Fade to black, roll credits.
Well, I'm sorry. It's all I can say.
I'm just speechless. It is a movie. It's like you said, it is, somebody was like, well, asked an adult, like, what do kids like? And he was like, I don't know, like, llamas. And like this guy, like he's going to fly and he tickles them. And
then, someone was like, tickle fights? And they're like, stop it, Steve. We're not putting that in the movie.
And then they did anyways, because Steve is like a producer.
Yeah, I don't really know what the objectives for this film were. I have no context for it, really.
Well, I mean, I do like sort of get it. Like in the broader context of this sort of Roch Carrier thing, he was trying to sort of crack the children's market in a sort of meaningful way. If you go back and you listen to our peanut butter solution episode, Roch Carrier was a man who he wasn't like he wasn't.
Oh, he'll make you tear up. You watch some interviews.
He wasn't a pure capitalist. His movies had a mission, and they were always for children, because I think that he read some article where suicide among children was like on the rise or something like that, and he was like, somebody's
really
got to do something about that.
He was into like foreign, like international film and stuff like that. And okay, so I do kind of get it. Like what's emerging at this time is like children as consumers. Children as a market.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to push back on that and be like, okay, fine, you're going to do this anyway. Why don't we give them something meaningful? But really, this is just like Jingling Keys, the movie.
Yeah. It's like he isn't quite there. And I don't even think like by the time that he really starts Tales for All properly, like he still hasn't really figured it out, even though those movies.
He's like, here's our first one, a movie where we kill a dog.
Yeah. And then the second one is like a fever dream. Like it is literally a dream you had when you had a fever one time. Mm-hmm. But like eventually Tales for All kind of balloons and turns into this like very meaningful sort of children's IP in Canada. This is sort of like
would you say it's fair to compare it to like fairy tale theater?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, maybe more original.
Yeah, like because all the stuff
and
that
less
they do
star-studded.
Yeah, all the stuff that Tales for All does is like, it's original. It's not like adapted fairy tales or anything like that. But it's
they're giving you something that's not schlock and crap.
Yeah.
No, I would argue this one.
Yeah, like I think his intended purpose was to take children seriously, but like he had to kind of work out what constitutes that.
Which I think is a very admirable goal. If anyone listens to this on any regular basis, I am a huge fan of Peanuts and of Charles Schulz, whose whole thing was about taking children seriously. I think that is a very valid thing to do, and I love it. I just don't get that. I mean, it's so... one of the things we always talk about is this thing still relevant? I cannot imagine that this is still relevant today.
No, this is an oddity that is worth checking out if you're a crazy person. Like, I can't really think of a fucking reason why anybody would actually want to like watch this, or let alone spend the money on a Vinegar Syndrome.
Yeah, but you see what you say that. And yet, we both own this.
We both own physical
and we just spent an hour and a half talking about this fucking movie. Presumably, thousands of people just spent an hour and a half, again, I'm real sorry, listening to us talking about this movie. So, I guess joke's on us.
You win again, Vinegar Syndrome.
Yeah. You did it, OCN. You tricked us.
Oh, yeah. Boy, I don't know. It's because also like it's not even like this movie is like zany in a way. It's not pushed over the line in that way that sort of like things become interesting.
Well, it has no narrative, and that's the problem. There's no coherent story here.
Yeah, there's no arc. Nothing really meaningful happens. There's no message. There's not even really a story. The main characters are all like the adults are all very sad people. The children are just kind of there, and the Martian is a fucking creep.
Yeah. And if you're thinking, wow, maybe I should watch this movie, honestly, this description of the movie is more entertaining probably than the actual movie.
True. So, yeah. Christmas Martian.
You have it. Oh, God.
Good God. So, what are we doing next? What's next for 99 Cent Rental?
Well, Bring Me the Axe is going to be coming back first. And we're going to be celebrating Garbage Day in style with the Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. You know what that movie is. It's not good.
Nope, it's Garbage Day.
But that'll be a funny one. And then in 2 weeks, 99 Cent Rental will be back with a cuddly family classic, Gremlins.
Hell yeah. God, I can't wait to do that one. I love Gremlins.
I don't think I've seen Gremlins. I'm going to say 10 years, 15 years.
Really?
20
All right,
years,
those
maybe?
can be fun. I watched Gremlins last year. I'll watch it like every Christmas. It's just.
I feel like that's going to be one of those ones that I'm always like, I hate Gremlins. Harumph. And then I watch it and I'm like, oh, I love Gremlins.
Yeah, but then you'll still come out the other side being like, man, fuck Gizmo. Also, it's kind of racist.
Oh, no, it is 100% racist. That much I do remember.
Yep. All right, so come back in a week and we'll talk about Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. And then be back in 2 weeks as we take on Gremlins.
Yep.